Welcome to CBC Windsor News at 6. I'm Meg Roberts. Thanks so much for spending part of your evening with us tonight. Hundreds of people lined up for a job fair in Windsor today as the city marks another month of having the highest unemployment rate in Canada. Plus, consumers have noticed a price drop at the pumps. We tell you what's behind the change. And an art exhibit has opened to honor the 2 sheep that were lost in South Windsor this summer. We take you there. People are lined up out the door at a job fair in Windsor right now. It's being held at the WFCU Centre. We sent the CBC's Chris Ensing over to see what it's like to look for work and what people make of the mayor saying he's not fazed with Windsor having the highest unemployment rate in the country.
This is what it's like inside of a job fair at the city with the country's highest unemployment rate. There's more than 20 employers who are looking for people that they need to hire, but there's also about 20,000 people in the city actively trying to find jobs. We asked employers what they're looking for and people handing out resumes what this has been like.
I have some IT work experience, and I'm really just looking here to try and get a full-time job and get a full hold on my career and really try to take it somewhere, you know?
Well, basically, I'm looking for an IT position in IT support, and I've been really on the look for maybe 6 or 7 months.
Windsor has the highest unemployment rate in Canada.
Yes.
So it's you and about 20,000 other people trying to find a job. Right?
Yes.
One of the things we did is we asked the mayor, like, hey, what do you make of that we still have the highest unemployment rate?
Yes.
And he had pointed to Nextars coming online.
Yes. Yeah.
Jobs are coming.
Yes.
We've had the highest unemployment rate for a while. What would you say to somebody who's looking for a job?
Listen, I think everywhere I go, people are looking for people who want to work. And so it's a matter of finding those people and matching those folks up. Everywhere I go, from a restaurant server, if I'm in a restaurant trying to find servers they can't, to everywhere along the pipeline trying to find talent is extremely difficult. So if you have skills and you actually want to work, we have a full team of people who are looking to match employers with people who want to work, and we can find you a job pretty darn quick.
I sure hope what he says is right. I'm going through the motions myself. Maybe I'll get back to you in a year or two and see how this so-called process works.
I would actually add one more thing to this, which I find really frustrating in the city, is that the transit is terrible to areas where people, like I don't have a vehicle. So the areas where you're able to actually work, you can't get to them. Like the bus service stops at hours that are not reasonable. Like if I even wanted to work, even assuming I just wanted to work at like Walmart or be a grocery clerk somewhere, like the 1C bus on the weekend stops at like 7 o'clock at night. Are you kidding? It's like you're on a major corridor here. Like I don't understand how you expect people to be able to work when you're not providing the infrastructure for them to work.
This isn't the last job fair that Invest Windsor Essex says they're going to put on. They're promising more in the coming months, as well as new programs that might help connect people to jobs they're trying to find.
If you've gassed up lately, you'll have noticed prices are down. Some motorists say they haven't dipped enough for any real relief, but one expert says be patient. Even lower prices are on the way. Dale Molnar reports.
According to GasBuddy.com, gas prices in Windsor are down about 21 cents per litre compared to the same time last year, an average of about $1.45 a litre. Patrick DeHaan is the head of petroleum analysis. He says the drop can be attributed to a number of factors.
Gasoline demand does tend to continue declining into the fall. It's that decrease in demand coupled with the fact that next week we will be switching back to a cheaper winter blend of gasoline that typically is why gas prices go down every fall. But we've gotten the added benefit in the last few weeks. Oil prices have fallen precipitously. In fact, today touching $65 a barrel. That's the lowest tally we've seen for oil since 2021.
People we talked to at the pumps are glad it's gone down, but they don't think it's gone down enough.
I think they're insane.
Oh, really? They're a lot lower.
Yeah, but there's still a lot for a struggling student.
What would you like to see?
I'd like to go back to where it was like less than $1, but ideally. I'm a single mom with 3 kids and a student, and every little bit that go down helps.
I think they're outrageous.
Still, they went down.
Well, the government's taken their share, I think, for the most part.
They're high. Probably for political reasons, too. Our world is topsy-turvy right now.
DeHaan says potentially we could be seeing our lowest gas prices later this year since 2021.
rather incredible when you think about it, that gas prices could fall to multi-year lows, even with carbon taxes that have gone up every year since then.
Another change at the pumps. As of September 3rd, most Esso, Mobil, and Petro-Canada stations began requiring customers to pay before pumping, which is okay for these folks.
I don't mind it. I mean, it allows me to kind of choose my price, so.
We do that anyway. At Shell, where I go on Dougal, you have to go in, pay.
According to Patrick DeHaan from Gas Buddy, the gas prices are expected to continue to decrease until Christmas, barring any hurricanes or unforeseen circumstances in the Middle East. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Windsor.
From crime to sports to human interest, former Windsor Star photographer Nick Brancaccio has covered it all. Now, a hand-picked collection of his work will be on display at the Chimchuk Museum. The installation opened Saturday, but CBC Windsor visited for a preview. And although his photos are a work of art, a word of caution, there's one in this piece that may be unsettling for some viewers.
Well, I've worked at the Windsor Star as a photojournalist since 1980 until I retired in 2021. So 41 straight years, basically on the street. I was known to chase a lot of scanner calls, so police, fire, although I've done pretty well everything, you name it, entertainment and sports and feature and just daily happenings on the street. So I believe it's over 15,000 bylines I had in the Star. Well, I have 50 here, but if you count all the ones on a rolling slideshow, we have well over 100. And there's a couple surprises. We're allowed to go into a Hotel Du Grace Hospital during a brain operation on somebody's brain. And I know I had to swab down all of my photo equipment. Number one thing I think of is that I was doing a job. That was our job. Our job was to bring the news to, to our readers and viewers. There's no AI here. These are all real photos. Photos taken here in Windsor from a variety of different events, spot news events. There's some tragedy here. There's challenges, and there's some great triumphs, too. It represents a good portion of what I, took photos of over the years, but just the sheer vastness of all the work, and it's beautiful to share it.
Yes, we've got some great artifacts and ephemera from Nick's career with the Windsor Star. They cover everything from major sporting events, political figures who have visited the Windsor Metro Detroit area, to everyday shots at festivals or events happening around here. We have a section in the exhibition that notifies people that there may be graphic images. So you kind of get a broad spectrum of what's happening in Windsor, and I'm sure a lot of people will come in and see some images that they might recognize from their past here on the walls.
Chris, these evenings have been so gorgeous. Everybody wants to be outside. And see, that's the problem, because I waited last night an hour for a tennis court, and then right when we got on, it was too dark to even see the ball.
Yeah, the sunset is getting earlier and earlier, so you got to get out and grab yourself a court or grab yourself an earlier tee time if you're a golfer, because yes, sunset is before 8 p.m. now, Meg. And it was a gorgeous day today. Not much in terms of active weather to report on, obviously, today, and that's going to be the same story as we step forward through the rest of this work week and into the weekend. We have a prolonged period of sunshine. I'll bring it to the Gulf of Mexico first. Hurricane Francine, in the process of making landfall about 165 kilometers west of New Orleans. Storm surge is going to be a significant issue. It has actually increased in strength, becoming a Category 2 just before making landfall, and flooding is going to be a big issue as well. And it is going to be tracking towards the north. It will weaken significantly on its travels, but it's still going to produce anywhere from 100 to 200 millimeters of rain, primarily across Mississippi through New Orleans, Louisiana, New Orleans area, and then it kind of stalls out, becoming post-tropical. Will it affect us? The short answer is yes and no. No, we're not going to see any active weather from it. It's actually going to do the reverse and help develop what's known as a blocking pattern in the upper atmosphere, and that will hold high pressure in place at the surface, which means a nice run of sun. In terms of the normal daytime high for this time of year, 23.3, 27 is what we peaked at today in Windsor, now at 25, 26 in Sarnia, 25 in Goderich, and it has felt like the low 30s in some locations, so it's a little humid, but it's obviously quite manageable. And that's still going to be the story as we step forward through the next couple of days. The only area of any active weather right now moving across Lake Huron and Georgian Bay, just a weak little feature that will continue to track east. It will not impact southwestern Ontario. The only thing we might see is a little bit of cloud through the evening, and that's it. But you might have noticed a little bit of a haze above us as well. The sky is not as blue as a typical sunny day, and that's because some of that wildfire smoke has once again moved into southern Ontario, and unfortunately it's going to probably remain in place for tomorrow. maybe even into the weekend as well, but it will start to filter off towards the west. So in terms of the precipitation outlook, like I said, not much to point out. A bit of cloud for Friday, mostly high-level cloud. That's a wispy cloud that will move in from the southwest. That's really the only thing that we're going to see from Francine. Just a little bit of high cloud left over. No remnant energy or moisture is anticipated to build in across our region. So in terms of overnight lows with calm winds, anywhere from 13 to 15 degrees. As we get into tomorrow afternoon, daytime highs in the mid to upper 20s. Lots of sunshine, a gorgeous day to get out and enjoy. Humidex will make it feel anywhere from 32 to 34. And it's a duplicate forecast as we step forward, as you can clearly see. Not much change. Friday, 27. Once we get into Saturday, 28. 28 again on Sunday, mostly sunny. A little bit more cloud moves in for Monday with a high of 28. And at this point, Mag, it looks like maybe Tuesday and Wednesday a few showers. But not until then. That's pretty much a guarantee at this point.
All right, I'm getting out to the tennis court tomorrow at 7 a.m., not p.m. I'll test my luck out again.
Boom.
Thanks for that, Chris.
You got it.
One of the big news stories of the summer involved 2 lost sheep on the loose in the South Windsor neighborhood. But for artist Kate Lamore, the saga served as inspiration. For every day the sheep were lost, she drew a picture. And now you can see her work at a new exhibit at Art Speak Gallery in Walkerville. We stopped by earlier to see how it all came to be.
Well, I was out for a walk with a couple family members, and it was actually the day that 40 volunteers were out to try and rescue the sheep, and I didn't know about it at that point. And so the sheep started booking it past us with people chasing after it. I thought it was a dog at first, but it just struck me as something so magical because, you know, when do you see a sheep running through your neighborhood? It was like out of a dream or something. And I also wanted to paint a place that's very nostalgic to me, of the neighborhood around where I grew up. I kept painting every day until the sheep were caught. They only caught one of the 2 sheep that were out there. So I had to call it quits at day 40. I think this one was really neat. This is day 6. It's a view on the overpass. All of the paintings were painted on site. Some of the other ones that are that I really like are day 14 with the interaction of the sheep in the forest there. Like maybe they're planning to stay out in the forest a little longer. So it's like a treasure hunt, or like a I Spy, an Easter egg hunt to find a sheep. There are 40 tiny sheep figurines hiding throughout the gallery. 40 sheep for 40 paintings. And yeah, you have to come find them.
It's not just Americans. Lots of Canadians are also talking about that presidential debate last night. We have all the details coming up after the break. The race for the White House has kicked into high gear after last night's presidential debate. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump clashed on issues from abortion to the economy and immigration. Democrats and even some Republicans believe Harris came out on top, but Trump says he won the night. CBC's Chris Reyes looks at what voters are saying the day after.
Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate.
Have fun.
Thank you.
It didn't take long for both candidates to claim victory after the 90-minute debate.
This was my best debate. I thought it was very good. I thought she was very weak on foreign policy. She was very weak on the border, and I'm very happy.
I think that we think today was a good day, and it kind of was. But we have 56 days to go, and guys, we're still the underdogs in this race. It's tight.
The debate touched on a wide range of issues: the economy, immigration, foreign policy, and reproductive rights. But it was short on policy details and heavy on the personal hits.
She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist.
It is well known that he admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself. So many military leaders who you have worked with have told me you are a disgrace.
One notable endorsement came right after the debate, an Instagram post from the pop star Taylor Swift.
We're honored to have the endorsement of Taylor Swift because I think that Taylor Swift saw what millions of Americans saw last night on the stage. She saw Donald Trump refuse to say if he would sign a national abortion ban. She saw him continue to demean America, and that's not the kind of America that Taylor Swift wants to be in.
From Republicans, the overwhelming criticism that the moderators went easy on Kamala Harris and that Harris wasn't held accountable for President Joe Biden's record.
She spent her time trying to goad Donald Trump, trying to taunt Donald Trump. But what Kamala Harris didn't do is talk about policy to impact the lives of the American people.
While it's voters who will decide who won the debate, some analysts say Trump's angry outbursts gave Harris the upper hand.
I think Kamala Harris won the debate. She was able to trip Donald Trump up, keep him on the defensive, basically from the start when she essentially forced him to shake her hand. She set the rhythm and the tempo of the debate, and she knocked Trump off his game from the start.
No word yet on whether there will be a second debate between the two, though other networks, including Fox News, have made it clear they want to host one. One debate that's confirmed is happening this October between the VP candidates, J.D. Vance and Tim Walz. Chris Reyes, CBC News, New York.
Ceremonies were held in the U.S. to mark the 23rd anniversary of the September 11th terrorist attacks. On this day in 2001, nearly 3,000 people tragically lost their lives when al-Qaeda terrorists crashed jets into the Twin Towers in New York, the Pentagon, and in a field in Pennsylvania. Several political leaders were in attendance.
Your memory lives on in our hearts, and your family misses you deeply.
David Michael Barkway, Kenneth William Besnicki, Jane S. Beatty.
I would like to take this time to thank everyone who really keeps their word to never forget.
Many dangers, toils, and snares.
We have repaired the damage to this building, but we cannot repair the damage to your hearts.
Todd M. Beamer.
My mom, Cece Louise Ross Lyles.
Canadian families involved in adopting a child from China have suddenly been left in limbo. Beijing has abruptly banned most foreign adoptions. As CBC's Ithil Musa reports, the move is creating an emotional strain for adopters and for some who have already been adopted.
Michel Leblanc's family moved to a bigger home in Trois-Rivières in anticipation of a new family member. They had already adopted 2 children from China. Now their hopes of adopting another are dashed.
La façon dont ça nous a été annoncé.
The way it was announced to us without any consideration, it's inhumane, she says. Leblanc found out on social media that China was ending its international adoption program.
C'est beaucoup de stress financier.
It's a lot of financial stress. It's emotional stress, she says, because you have to be able to tell the grandparents who won't have a baby. China's foreign ministry didn't provide an explanation. Births in the country have been plummeting for decades because of China's one-child policy. That policy ended in 2016. Chinese couples are now allowed to have up to 3 children.
Population dynamics in China is always as much a demographic issue as it's a political one. Domestic adoption or international adoption is inevitably fraught. It touches on some of the most fundamental questions of human conditions, like who gets recognized, who gets counted.
In Canada, adoptees from China are also trying to process what this news means.
It does feel like an end of an era, and maybe in some ways that's good because if there's less of a need for children to be adopted.
Rottenberg hopes China's new rule on foreign adoptions will not make it harder for adoptees like her to find their birth parents. While for Michel Leblanc, the dream to expand her family, it's hard to kill the hope in your heart, she says, but at the given moment, as humans, there are limits to the grief one can endure. The federal government says it's working closely with its contacts in China to review the country's new policy. Idil Musa, CBC News, Toronto.
Stay tuned. We have more news coming up after the break. world-famous Michelin Guide has been expanding in Canada over the past several years, and starting next year, it'll include ratings for restaurants in Quebec. The chefs and owners are happy for the chance to win a coveted star, but as CBC's Sarah Levitt reports, there are concerns about how it might change the food scene in the province.
It's long been the benchmark for fine dining. The Michelin Guide, created in 1900 as a travel guidebook, ever since chefs around the world have coveted those elusive stars. And now restaurants in Quebec are in the running.
We've been pretty excited.
Montreal has always been seen as the culinary capital of Canada, though Michelin first went to Toronto and Vancouver. This chef believes having the Michelin Guide here will provide an economic boost.
Do I believe that we needed Michelin before now? I don't think so. Am I glad that they're here? Absolutely.
But other chefs worry the Guide's emphasis on fine dining is restrictive and Eurocentric. In rewarding stars, the Guide looks at the quality of the ingredients, mastery of cooking and culinary techniques, harmony of flavors, personality of the dishes, and consistency.
I don't want it to be you go into a restaurant and then they're clicking the box.
Antonio Park is a culinary superstar not just in Montreal but around the world. He worries restaurants in the city will try to chase stars, changing the dynamic of the scene.
We are all about the whole package of giving them pleasure, making them feel like home. We're a city where, la joie de vivre.
Still,
yes, I want one, 2 or 3.
Michelin was given $2.1 million in grants over 3 years, including money from the city, province, and Ottawa. This to a company worth billions of dollars.
Why do they get so much funding so quickly?
For the past 10 years, Elise Tasté has built up her own guide to Quebec restaurants.
Michelin targeting to people who want that and high-end restaurant, getting those tourists, I think is fantastic. There is going to be less visibility for the smaller restaurant, but that's where I come in.
Just who gets those stars will be revealed in 2025. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Montreal.
That's it for CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for news anytime, you can go to our website at cbc.ca/Windsor. You can also download the CBC News app for stories that matter most to you. And don't forget to watch The National tonight at 9 on CBC News Network. Thanks so much for tuning in. Looking forward to seeing you back here tomorrow night.